Pleasure stoked inside me, restless, relentless pleasure. But I held back, growling in her ear. Tell me what gets you the hottest. Tell me what you want the most. She cried out the words, I want, and I tensed, hoping she'd say it. But her next word was, you, as she keened, breaking, coming all over me. The thing was, I knew her answer was true, but it also wasn't all true. I'd seen her browser history. I knew what she liked. But I wanted her to tell me, so I could give it to her. She had to confess she wanted 2 men inside her at the same time, before I would bring someone in. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my review of The Engagement Gift, the first book of the Gift series written by Lauren Blakely. What is better than having 1 man service you in a bed? Having 2 men, of course. Lily is a young woman who is about to get married to a very sexy guy called Finn. And even though she loves him, she has this fantasy that she wants to fulfill before marrying him, and that is having sex with 2 men at once. So she has to resolve this dilemma about how will she tell him, and even if he says yes, who will be this other guy? Lily works as a sports reporter, and we don't get to know too much about her besides that she is about to get married and she is preoccupied with wedding planning. But at the same time, because she loves watching internet sex videos, especially those where 1 woman has sex with 2 men, she has this fantasy that she would like to realize, and she keeps talking about it with her best friend Kate, and trying to get over her worries and figure out who could actually be this other guy. Because her upcoming husband, Finn, he is very sexy. He works as a lawyer and they are pretty much on the same vibe. But even he actually knows about her fantasies. He found out some other way. And he is already thinking, who could be this next guy? Because he is not opposed to this idea. And one of the possible candidates could be his colleague from work called Jake, who is also a lawyer and a very good-looking guy. In terms of character development, we don't get to know too much, really, besides what we know from what is happening, and we also get a little bit of background on how the young couple met. There is not much romance to speak of in this book, although we get to know a little bit more about the background of Lily and Finn's relationship and even how they met. But the story actually starts with setting up the premise, actually, that Lily talks to Kate, and we already get to know about her wish for having a threesome. And we see that romantically the couple works, although even because of this unusual wish and unusual premise, there is actually very little drama going on. There is nothing really hindering it, no obstacles to overcome. Everything goes really smoothly, and I was surprised that Finn managed to suppress his jealousy. There is so much head talk actually in their heads, like how they are trying to justify that it's okay, it's just a fantasy that we will carry out and everything will be okay. So there is very little development in any way, and we can see that in the beginning Lily is actually worried what would happen if she told Finn. And besides this functional relationship that they had so far, we also see a brewing relationship between Kate and Jake, the secondary characters. And I would really be interested in seeing a little bit more in terms of where it's headed, because Kate knows about the threesome and Jake becomes a part of it, which is not really a huge spoiler because there is not that many characters to choose from. So this is the first book in the series. Maybe we'll get to know more, who knows. Sex is the main theme of this story. It is, after all, about having a threesome. But it's not the only sex that we get in the book. We get to experience a little bit more of Lily and Finn's sexual life, because they like to role play, they like to be creative, they like to be funny, and it's all written because of this focus very well. So it's very hard. They use humor, they use dirty words, and it's overall very enjoyable. The only problem I probably had was that Finn actually invited his best friend for this. That if I should think about it from my perspective, I don't think I would ever invite my best friend to have a threesome with my upcoming wife. And because of this, it loses a little bit more of realism and credibility. So you will have to suspend your disbelief a little bit to actually enjoy the sex to the fullest. The writing in this book is done very well because it focuses on only one thing, but I have to admit that I just missed some portion of the story, maybe a little bit more of character development, maybe introduce how Lily actually got this idea of having a threesome, and maybe tell a little bit more of some longer epilogue, what happened afterwards, because the story ends after they carry this whole threesome out, and then we just get to see them in the morning the next day, and that's pretty much it. So I feel like this story could be much longer, that it's rather than a full book, it's like a short story instead. So I would probably welcome a little bit more development. The language itself was fine. I think that especially during the sex, whatever the characters did or said actually worked very well. So there is no comments from me. I would recommend this book to anybody who enjoys reading about great sex, especially threesome. The sexual encounters are done very well and they are very hot. So what there is actually done very well. However, I feel that either the story was too short, that we could use a little bit more development and maybe a little bit more explanation before and after the story that we read, and also that everything just went too smoothly. So it's all about just, we have this idea, let's do it, simple. But beyond this, it's very enjoyable. I would probably recommend it, and I'm actually interested in what happens in the next two books, because this is a series. And with this, I conclude my review. I thank you for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Have a great night.